Stephen Williams here, along with the maestro himself, Mischeal Goldsmith. And if you didn't get an opportunity, you've got to go back and share and listen to part one as we talk about how God can orchestrate a life even when it doesn't look like it's the right path, but how God can take you down a different kind of road. And so please, at the bottom, subscribe, and share it with your friends and your family as we continue this part two segment of dealing with Mischeal Goldsmith and the path that God has brought him. It is so much and it is so intricate. We have so many things that we're going to discuss. Again, if you are consistent, or if you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, I appreciate your support. You'll be able to find out how to support down at the bottom. You can go to www.stephenlwilliamsllc.com and there's going to be an email. But I've got to get back to part two, studying with Mischeal Goldsmith. And when we last left, we talked about how you started a girls group called SOLD, Sold Out, and you started, the Lord really spoke to you again, and we're at 23, and now you are starting Sold Out. Saints
of uncompromising living.
Uncompromising living.
Over unrelenting trials.
Over unrelenting trials. So this passion to do this group, is it birthed out of Ambassador, or was there an influence, a musical influence? Because probably back then there were a lot of groups that have influenced you to do this kind of.
Well, an Ambassador's the option to record and do your own music was something that we grew up seeing, because David Allen wrote music and recorded, you know what I'm saying, with several artists or whatever. And so that was definitely there, but also some of the artists he brought in were recording artists too.
Certainly. And
you heard them, you saw them record. We would go, man. David would have us taking equipment because he's doing a recording somewhere. We would, we load the stuff up, take it. So he was always around it. Yeah, always around it. And so that was certainly our influence, because he always brought. Even if everybody wasn't like a major artist he brought in, it could have been a local artist right in the Triad area. A lot of them, man, I can't even come up with all those names, but a lot of people came through there, especially when he did the workshops.
Right.
A lot of them came through to sing. When he did Symphony to God, he invited different artists in.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody, like I said, everybody wasn't from out of state. Some people was right around here, man. So I grew up with a lot of them, man, watching them matriculate. So the option to record, or for that, if he even had a mindset, it's almost like your child starts where you left off.
Yes, certainly.
So like recording didn't seem like this. Oh my God, that's like you could do that. We started with the recording part. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can record all day. Yeah. Anybody can do that. Because we grew up seeing it.
Right, certainly.
Yeah, I'm sure David. I'm not sure what his testimony would be, or who influenced him to think that you can actually do that, because at that time I don't think they thought you could record unless you was with a record company.
Certainly.
So David was doing it like, if they get the recording truck at that time, get the recording truck to show up,
bring the truck.
We record our own stuff, And so I would say David Allen, and I'm saying his name because all the people that he brought in influenced us too. It wasn't just him. So I don't think he made us think he knew everything, but he brought people in who could give us that information. You know what I'm saying?
Certainly.
And even that aspect of it opened you up too, because like I said, that list of people
is that why you are so, and I have a little insight, but is that why you are so connected and inviting to other artists and ministers and minstrels? Like, you are one of the most well-connected people. Like, where do you get this whole notion to build this magnet, or this conduit, if you will?
I think it was birthed out of growing up at Ambassador at a time when Ambassadors was the hot spot for music, and so with me just learning how to play, I had a community of people watching me learn. You know what I'm saying? Because like Ambassadors was a hot spot. So if you sat down to play, everybody assumed you had it.
Certainly.
You know what I'm saying?
Certainly.
So if I'm 14
Right.
and they tell me go play for Devotion,
Yeah.
and it's a church full of people from
Yeah.
everywhere, like from Rocky Mount, you know, we in Winston-Salem, but they from Greensboro, High Point,
Yeah.
Thomasville, Kernersville, you know, they from Charlotte, they come from Durham, they from Raleigh, because they know David Allen.
Certainly.
Or the artists he brought in.
Certainly.
And so I'm this 14-year-old got to sit up there and try to figure out how to play Devotion. And this room is packed. And I look at little, you know, so maybe like by the time I'm 17, it's like, oh man, well, okay, he really starting to sound, you know, a little better than, okay, by the time I'm 19, man, yeah, Mischeal, that's the cat. You know, so at that point, you know how it is in church. Or when you in church and you up front, more people gonna know you than you gonna know them.
Certainly.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you up front and they say your name one time, not everybody in the room know your name.
Right.
Now, you don't know it. you don't know none of them. So you know, so I had to quickly learn how to on the character thing. I think my the way I carry myself was a certain way, because as soon as I started playing, it's like I had to carry, because I'm running into people that know I play, but I don't know them.
Certainly.
But they know me from church, so I can't, you know, my mom was a trip. Now, my mom didn't play around with, she wasn't really hard on us about grades. You just couldn't flunk.
Right.
So there wasn't this mindset of, I want straight A's. She didn't talk to us like that. But what she did make clear, what you're not going to do is embarrass me. That's what she said.
Right.
Now, you're not going to,
Right.
you're not going to cut up.
Yeah.
You know, you may not be the smartest person in the room, but you ain't gonna be you ain't gonna be the worst behaved person.
Right.
No. She didn't. My mom didn't play that. And even though her and my dad, Mickey Goldsmith, did not make it as a married couple. They did not get along. They couldn't stay married.
Right.
Where they got along, when it pertained to me and my brother.
Right.
Oh yeah, behavior. Oh no, they didn't fight over that. No. There wasn't no. They had no discussion. There was no argument. No. They was tag team.
Yeah, on this.
Because even when he wasn't there,
Yeah.
if something went down and she got us and he found out, and when he got in town,
He's coming.
it could have been 2 weeks later.
Right.
You know, me and my mom was over with. Mama done beat us, put us on punishment. We done with it. No, he just got here.
Right.
Oh, we still. So
it's fresh for
it's fresh for him. Yeah, they got along on the behavior piece now. Oh no, they ain't play that. So that I'm saying that family structure, even though it wasn't mom and dad married, living together, they on the behavior front, or how you carry yourself, or character, they agreed on that, or how me and my brother needed to carry ourselves. So I think with that, it helped shape character, especially at that age where 13, 14, where most young men, teenagers, you know, they ain't no telling which they got a one, or either going this way or they going this way, you know. And so my mom kept us in church. So I had uncles that weren't uncles at church that used to pick my brother up or talk, or sometimes just a conversation.
Yeah.
They could see, you know, back then, if they saw something you too far at church, they didn't have to go get your mom and daddy. They dealt with you
right there,
right then. So I think my mom and so many others, I probably can't name everybody, who helped shape my character, about how I carry myself.
Certainly.
Along with running into people that you may not know their name, they know your name, so you carry yourself a certain way where they like, man, you a cool guy, or you know, I like how I want you. Sometimes I got more stuff because of my character than I ever did because of my talent, because there was other people that could have done it.
Certainly.
So there are positions I got because of the things that people didn't have to worry about. Yeah. Then it was more about, well, he can play the organ or he can play the piano.
And I think people don't understand that your character really does take you further. Because you can be less talented, but if you have a nasty attitude, you can be greatly talented, but if you're hard to deal with,
nobody want to work with you.
Nobody wants to really work with you. So character becomes important.
It carries a lot of weight in church.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Especially for, like I said, I'm friends with a lot of pastors, and that's the one piece that we may discuss. Yeah. Like that's number one on the list. When we say, man, if I had somebody
with character,
just do. If they could just do what they say they gonna do, right. You know, they could just, you know, be on time or be prepared, you know, stuff like that.
And I do know from a musical standpoint that goes both ways.
Yes,
so
sir.
to the pastors who are listening to this, the musicians are also looking for that area of character from you to do what you say you're going to do. Make sure you are honoring that part.
That's true.
And it always falls on the musician. Musicians get a bad rap, I guess, because they don't get the mic.
That's true. Now the power's in the mic. Now that's the truth. That's the power's in the mic. But I think there is on both ends.
Certainly.
You know what I'm saying? There are some musicians I believe who take advantage.
Certainly.
But I've always felt like the pastors they govern it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And as a collective group, if all pastors decide, especially as it pertains to musicians, this right here we're not going to tolerate.
Right.
Then that musician has nowhere to go because no pastor's tolerating
right.
Whatever that is. And whenever one tolerates it and let them in, now you just open the door, especially if you're going to pay them. It's like, man.
I am a Trekkie.
Okay.
And so I Star Trek. I love Star Trek.
Right.
And I think the church is missing what I call the Borg effect.
Okay.
And that is they are part of the collective. They do all things and everybody is connected. But the church is so separated. Yeah. So they allow, one person will allow this to happen, this person. So it dilutes the standard across the board.
I agree.
And so you become, the church is a little bit disconnected in that context.
Yeah, especially when we handle musicians, because we're talking about music. Musicians, I think there's a standard that you ought to meet, not on a professional level.
Certainly.
That you should meet to get paid a certain amount.
Okay.
That's me. And I think all pastors need to agree.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then what I think it would do, what I know it would do, it would make everybody better. Because if they say, look, if you can play shout music, praise music, but you can't play hymns, then you're only going to get this. I don't care where you go.
Right.
Now, what's going to happen is the younger musicians are going to say, well, then I got to start learning some hymns.
That's right.
Because you want to be able to be compensated. Okay, so now so once you add the hymns, so it's okay, you got that. Okay, so now behind the preacher, you got to be able to do this too.
Right.
Or flow.
You
know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or praise and worship.
Right.
Or choir music.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like as you add to what you
get paid.
Then you get paid. And then no matter where you go. Oh well. And if you can do all that but you can't teach parts.
Right.
Well then
you don't get this
there's a cap.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if you can teach the choir. Oh, okay. Well then now, right. Okay, now if you can do all that and you can teach parts, but you can't administrate. Well then you add a cap again.
Yes.
Okay, now you learn how to communicate because I think one of the things I know, a lot of musicians, we get compensated for what we do in church.
Yeah.
And if we don't understand there's another side to it, there's a spiritual side to it.
Certainly.
And we can sit and discuss that and that's easy.
Yeah.
But there is a level of it where you're expecting a church to do a certain amount for you, and you're not contributing to the bottom line because it takes finances to get stuff done. So if I'm losing people,
yes,
then you can't come in and say, man, I want to raise. That's the wrong time. But if your contribution, because if music, I believe if music is done the right way, there's a good flow. You got people coming, they want to be in choir, they want to come hear the music, and you got a good pastor, you'll keep people, and the church will grow. If the church grow, then, and since you've been here, if the church grows since you've been here.
That's right.
Oh, well then, we can sit down and discuss it.
And you can discuss that.
I think that's fair.
There, prayer and scripture, that goes without saying, that becomes the foundation of a church. Mm-hmm. But I always tell them there are 5 things that functions and helps church growth. It is good preaching, it is good singing, good administration, it is good children.
Oh, wow, okay.
And it's the love of people.
Gotcha.
That's what will bring people. Now, all of that's on top of prayer.
I got
so
you.
Prayer becomes your foundation, reading the Bible, but that administration, that church piece, that good music piece, the youth piece, and good love from people. Because if you don't have those things, one of those things off.
Wow, that's something.
One of those things, if you don't have good preaching or good administration, good music, good youth, and good love, then those things, there's an imbalance.
Imbalance, yeah, I like that.
And so when you don't have the music piece in place and And I think I want to, to go back to your whole notion of, talk to me about character and skill. Skill, because people want to get paid for it with no character and no skill.
Yeah,
or very little skill.
And little character. I think the challenge is for the body of Christ is to find where we can meet the character and the skill together.
Gotcha.
If we can marry them, then you got the perfect, not just musician. Pastor,
usher,
praise and worship leader, deacon, trustee. If you can meet the character with the skill, you know what I'm saying? Because all of it requires a level of skill. I think as a musician, character is something I think that community we really got to sit and talk about, because we talk a lot about flow and okay. So a relationship with God will settle the character part
Certainly.
To me, because if you don't have a relationship with God, there's no, then you don't have a standard that
Right.
you need to meet.
Certainly.
You know what I'm saying? I have a aunt that doesn't wear pants at all.
Yeah.
But the relationship she had with God, God told her, I don't want you ever in pants. Now, God didn't tell her no woman should ever wear pants.
Right,
He said, for you.
Right. That's between her and God.
You can't.
Yeah.
So her consecration on a daily is, or her sacrifice rather, is she never wears pants. She wears crazy anointing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, certainly.
But that's something
That's
that
hers.
God, so to me, when you have a relationship with God, then I think in that relationship, there's something that God will tell you. I know a lot of stuff going on, but this right here, you don't ever do this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think we make church. I have a thing out here that I've discovered in my time, that I really don't have dominion over people.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all the things that gave me fish of the sea, fowl of the air, fowl of the birds, all the cattle, all the creeping things, I have dominion over all of that, but he never gave me dominion over people.
Right.
And so religion, or church and religion, we want to dictate to the people what should only be dictated by God. Because again, pants, that's what God don't want her to do.
Right. Right.
But what we do in the church is we say, because God don't want me to do it,
I mean,
you ain't saved
if you do
because you do it.
Right.
And I think we need to, I'm finding out it's not a cookie cutter relationship.
It's not. I think the way God handles everybody is different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because he made everybody different.
He made everybody.
For instance, for me, mine is I'm never to drink.
Gotcha.
I got friends who drink.
Right.
I don't think no less of them. I don't know if they're going to heaven. I have no idea.
Right,
I don't
right.
even care. Like they can drink in front of me.
Right.
You know, I don't get this. Oh my God, no. Between me and God, and I have musicians who do more than just play gospel music.
Which was going to lead me into
Yeah.
my segue of why, or do you? I don't see you doing a whole lot of R&B music, and
I can't. That was my vow to God at 15.
Okay.
God, if you teach me how to play, I will only play in church. I
Wow.
promise I won't do. And a lot of my close friends know that, and they may do R&B, but they would never ask me to do it.
Now that's amazing.
Yeah, I can't. I literally cannot. Like, I can't do alcohol. That's between me and God.
Yeah.
No alcohol, and I cannot play anything but gospel. Like, I've done it where like a wedding,
Weddings, yeah.
so that, but I can't be like on the stage. And I got close to that at one point, not knowing I was about to. My mom got me out of it, but I was about to try to go a little R&B and try to. I was about 19.
I was broke one time.
Just one time.
And I realized that singing is just singing. It was R&B just as much as it was gospel.
Okay.
And so I figured I could make money. There's no sense in me singing this gospel music
ain't making
and
no
being
money.
broke.
I
And I ain't
know
got
that,
no
right?
money. And so I was gonna go and I was gonna sing this R&B, and there was this love song that I was practicing, and I'm singing, and it should have been something like "Baby, Baby," and I was like, "Jesus, Jesus." I knew then.
There you go. Going back. Going back to the church, man. Just go.
And I knew then, I'm just a church boy. I'm a churchman, not a church boy. I'm really a churchman, you know. And it's amazing that you would have that discipline because I know you're surrounded by all styles and all types of music.
Yeah, and I think sometimes on the skill level, I think it limited me because in order for you to, I think a friend of mine, that's Eric Reed, man, he's an amazing musician.
Mm-hmm. I do know.
And me and him worked together, years ago. And he was saying, man, listen to jazz, and he said, just listen to it, so it'll open your mind up to a different approach.
Yeah.
And he's like, listen to. He kept naming all these different styles of music to listen to that, and you can see the influence of the different styles in the way he played.
Certainly.
And I wanted it, but I'm like, but I promise God, So now I got some R&B that I listen to. I've been to R&B concerts before, so I've been in the atmosphere. And I have an appreciation for music. Yeah. So if it's done, and I think it's done the right way, it could be hip hop. If it's hot, you're gonna hear me say, man, that's hot. So I have an appreciation for all styles of music. But the vow I made to God was I wouldn't play nothing but in church. I wouldn't be on the road doing anything but church. So for my vow was that. So I have to I honor that.
So let's take a deeper step. So does that how does that influence your relationship with God when you have those other? Because there's this huge thing now in church there's this cross measuring thing that the church now is no longer just limited to church music. Mm-hmm. People listen to all types of styles of music. And I just wanted, from your standpoint, what does that do with your relationship? Does it do anything with your spiritual relationship with God, or are they all one and the same as far as you are concerned?
Because the Christian community listens to?
But some people, we call it, are less oily because they play both sides.
Okay.
You understand my saying?
I get it. I think for me, it doesn't affect me per se. Okay. I have, I think the God, I believe my relationship with God, I don't know everything about God, but what I do know about him, he say he's ever changing, he's the same God yesterday, today, and forevermore. But I don't know every part of him.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
There is another side.
Yeah. So no matter how much I think I know, or how much I've tapped into that affects my life and got me in a place where I'm like, yeah, me and God, boom, and then it'd be like something else. It was like, oh wow, you cool with that? I didn't know you was over there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because of that relationship, through my experience with God, I don't. I see it as this. Anything that if it doesn't convict you. Because like what you mentioned, you don't have dominion over people. If it doesn't convict you, then there's no need for me and you to have a conversation.
Certainly.
But I've been in atmospheres where my friends, are doing whatever, or maybe doing R&B or whatever, and ask my opinion about something. Like, well, you want my opinion?
Right.
Okay, well, this is what I think.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I've been at concerts, man. My friends of mine playing R&B music. They do a set, man, and they get through. And then we sit and have a conversation. And then when I walk in, it's like, okay, all of a sudden we start talking about God, or a relationship with God, or how did you get here? And we literally having this conversation. Like some of them, they drinking, smoking, whatever. Yeah. And we sit just talking. I struggle with. I think a lot of people I know, they struggle with the atmosphere that's connected to that style of music sometimes. And I think. If you can, but I know people who be in the atmosphere and it doesn't affect. They do the job, so to speak, or the gig, and get their money, and then they go home. Yeah. Everybody hadn't mastered that part of it. Certainly. Some of them, they do that. They get caught up in whatever the atmosphere is, and then show up at church. Yeah. And then try to work their gift. Certainly. You know what I'm saying?
And it doesn't work.
Yeah, it works on the technical end. Yeah, but I don't think it works on the spiritual. On the flow,
sometimes they miss the flow. They're skilled,
my opinion, I would say,
but they're not flow. So that's going to lead me into this segue, because I think one of the things that's important about what you're doing that we share and we talk about different methods, and I purposely chose to have us then here with the sanctuary, because I have a mechanism of teaching within the sanctuary, but you have been able to reach outside of the four walls and have a different kind of ministry. And so tell me a little bit about let's spend a little time on the holy movement ministry, because it is not, as I see it, it's not this traditional thing. Even though I try not to be traditional in my movement in kingdom, I am for the inside of the house, and I recognize where I am. But you have an interesting take, or a different assignment on kingdom outside of just the four walls. Or tell us about that.
Well, Holy Movement Ministries, Holy Movement Ministry is a combination of all the stuff in church that we appreciate. It's like packaging it up and then saying, I'm gonna say it this way. God told me, He gave me Holy Movement Ministries as a name. It's probably 4 years ago.
Okay.
And He gave me as a name, and He said to me that there were people who they love. His exact words were, there are people that love me. They really, really love me, but they're not going to go to church on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And everybody has their reasons why they're just not going to do Sunday morning. So, but they will do once a month with you on a Saturday. And I was like, with me? Yeah. He's like, yeah, with you. They'll do once a month on a Saturday with you. And so one of the things that he said to me was there were some people that they'll come to that service and they'll get what they need in the service. Some of them will say, well, look, I'm just going to do this. Right. But some of them will get healed and literally get back into a Sunday morning service at somebody's church.
Gotcha.
But there are times in my life where God will ask me to do something that literally, and it ain't just me, I know, that literally makes no sense. Yeah. But but I'm telling you to do this.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like an idiot doing it. Like, man, I can't be all right, Lord, I'm going to go ahead and, and then I'll do it. And there are times when I do it and I don't feel the impact.
Right. Certainly.
And it'll be years later, somebody say, hey, man, when you was at such and such and you said, yeah, I was in this concert, it was 10 years ago. It changed my, and I'm like, huh? Because I felt like an idiot in the moment saying it or doing it or showing up or whatever. Yeah. And so Holy Movement Ministries to me is that where there are people who, like I said, they're not going to do a Sunday morning, but they'll come to that particular service. And so in that service, we do once a month. It's once we structure it exactly the way God has given, because God will send the people. He's still sending the people that can help the vision of how He gave me the service need to flow. So the flow of it is where whatever the theme is for that particular service, that's what everybody's doing in that. That's the theme for that whole service. So our first service was February this year, and the theme was exercising your faith. So that was the theme for that service. So the music that was played was about faith. The opening prayer was about faith. Yeah. The scripture was about faith. Yeah. The song that was sung right before I got up to speak was about faith. And then when I spoke about faith. Right? And so out of that service, we started getting testimonies from people saying, man, I exercised my faith and then this happened. Right. And some of them were members of other churches that showed up for the service, because I'm attached to a lot of people, right. But there were people that showed up at the service that don't go to anybody's church, but they left using the principles that was taught in that service. I'm gonna start exercising my faith. And what happened when they started seeing it work, it's like, wow, okay, hold up, this really worked. Yeah. Then you move to the next month, and then there's a different focus for that particular month. And so that's pretty much the focus. But what's going to happen, the long term, we'll travel from either city to city, state to state, and we'll do those services in that particular state or that city. And my big vision for it is for us to be able to feed people at no cost, for us to be able to get as many homeless people and get them to somewhere where you can get them a shower, fresh food, change of clothes or something, even if it's just a place to stay for that night while we're in town. And I know that the resources for that is like, it's a lot to try to pull that off. Yeah. But to be able to do that and then have a worship experience where that can literally change. You never know. You get in a service like the way that it is, where it's music, because I love music production. Yeah. with the sound and all of that, the lights. I love all of that. So those things that happen in our worship service on Sundays or whatever, some churches have the ability to do. You take it out and you go somewhere
and do it, but you show that love that you were talking about, and then show them Christ in a different. And I'll say in a different way, and different than, because people have a reason why they're not coming on Sunday morning. Sure.
Some people don't really have a good reason, but some people have a legitimate reason. They trust it. Everything is not just the pastors. It was somebody in the church, or something happened, or something they didn't agree with, and it hurt them in such a way, or it confused them in such a way where they decide, you know what, I'm not doing church, period. And so then they don't try nobody else's church. And then so whatever happened at that church becomes, that's how all of them are.
Exactly.
So then they shut down. But from what we're doing is saying, we're not even talking about church membership.
Right.
We got people that connected, that consistently tithe and give, because right now, for them, this is my church right now. So this is what I'm doing, And so we cover them in prayer, and if they need me, I'm there. But that's what Holy Movement basically is, man. We'll travel, because I'm a songwriter, so eventually we'll have original music that we're doing in them services.
Gotcha.
And whatever the music is, it leads into
whatever that moment is.
So if we're talking about grace, that's what the theme is for that service. And when that whole production or whatever it is happens, along with the word, and it's all about grace, nobody can leave there saying, I don't know what they talked about. You gonna know, because the usher that greeted you gave a theme, said what the thing was as you was going to your seat.
Your movement is once a month, but do you think that should be a flow of a ministry? Because you play for ministry.
Mm-hmm.
So with that same concept, because I'm just sitting here thinking, if everybody talked about what the pastor was going to teach about,
and
I know it's a little bit more difficult on a weekly basis.
It is.
But just think, if every song, every praise and worship song was done thematically to.
I'll say, and what you just said is, I think, will be a pastor's dream. The challenge is with pastors, from the pastors that I know, including you can have you can know where you're going by Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then I believe this: something can happen with some people in the congregation that you know nothing about on Thursday, and God will say by Friday, well, look,
I need you to do this.
Yeah, and you have no idea why. Like, okay, I got to switch this up.
Right.
And then so we've already had rehearsal though.
Right. So I can't be changing.
Yeah. So you call us on Saturday. The Lord told me, so I'm not gonna do faith, all right? We
gonna do praise.
We're gonna do praise. Be like, we got all 5 of these songs ready for. And so what God said to me when He gave me that flow for Holy Movement ministry, what He said to me was, the reason you got to do it once a month, the average ministry can't. There's no way they could possibly pull that off week to week.
That is true.
You know what I'm saying? Because the people that I'm dealing with, He given me a focus for that particular service. I've done three of those services at this point.
Certainly.
And all 3 of them, there might be something that was said that, obviously, that it wasn't in the notes. God, He throw an audible in there, but the focus for that service is pretty much. And it's hard for a ministry that has a week to week, because you're talking about pastors who, some have to preach twice on Sunday.
Certainly.
And then they have to prepare for Bible study on Wednesday.
Yes, it's
and
difficult.
then so it's a lot to try to pull that off. You literally, to pull off what I think what God has given me Holy Movement ministry, if a church try to do that from week to week, all the musicians have to be full time.
Oh yeah.
All the singles got to be full time.
Yes.
And we on call at any time.
At any time.
Yeah, because so if it's Saturday night, okay, it just changed. So we got to spend all Saturday night preparing for
Sunday morning.
And it will require that. And I think I'm pretty sure that's why God was saying to me, what you're finna do with this, a church would want to do week to week. It literally be hard to do. They probably could get off with once a month.
Right.
This particular Sunday, we gon'
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Have a thing.
You could have a month of grace.
You could. Yeah. But to the legislated, it's I think pretty difficult.
Have you ever asked this question? Why you to do holy? What's so special about you?
I don't know. I know I did because, like I said, he's told me 4 years ago, and I just started. What
took so long?
Because it felt so much like you finna pastor, and I'm like, nah. You know what I'm saying? And I think I'll say this much. One of the last 3 months, the services we've had have been my life, which is why I'm saying it. I'm saying exercising your faith, that first one, because I'm literally doing that, even telling you to meet me for Holy Movement.
Yeah.
Like, this is a faith move because I have no idea,
Right.
What I'm doing. And then in one of those services, I'm getting to my point. One of those services, God had me talking about voices or the voices that's in your life.
Yes.
There was a pastor I trusted that said to me, you gonna pastor, because I trusted him. In that moment, I believed that, I don't know, highest man went, okay, well, it'll be whatever, And then how he handled me had me to distrust him.
Gotcha.
So since I distrust you, then anything came out your mouth,
Certainly.
I don't trust that either.
That's right.
And so
back to character.
Character, and yes, sir. And with because you asked what took me so long.
Yeah.
So now, because I don't trust what it came out of his mouth.
Certainly.
You see what I'm saying?
Certainly, you said.
And there's a pull musically for me, not to preach.
Right.
I get pulled, okay, when the group or get finna record, or want you to write
Nobody
this music
asking you to
come to the studio. So nobody's saying come preach.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's not like I advertise that I speak either. I don't go around telling people I'm minister, I'm elder. So because of that voice that I didn't trust, there's a lot he said I have a hard time hearing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I haven't heard it anymore except from him.
Gotcha.
And he may have been correct. You know what I'm saying?
Certainly.
But in my mind, I discount everything about you, everything you said. I'm done with that. I'm shut down from you and anything that came from you. So it took so long because I was still shaking that off.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And so I had to get to a place of healing where God was like, I need you to, and that happened in that conversation with my dad. That also helped.
That was a trigger point. That was a release point.
It did, because now I understand me.
Certainly.
And me understanding me was not attached to that voice. I was me before I got to that voice.
That becomes so important because I think people don't understand. You have to get to know you. Before you can have a true relationship with God, you can't be anybody else's voice. You can't be anybody else's pattern. You'll be shocked by this. My call to be a pastor that really shook my world was Nathan Simmons.
Oh man.
I'm sitting on the front row with a group to sing. I'm at Shouse Church. Nathan Simmons stops and says to me, "You will pastor. And if you do it right, I will be at your church."
Wow.
And I looked at him and I said, "I ain't come here for that."
I know that's right.
No. We're not doing what we're not doing. We're not doing that.
Not tonight.
No, because my aspirations was for music. And I'm not going to be confined to that. But I'm learning that it's not, you have that moment like with your dad. You have a moment where you're God's. You're Mischeal. Whatever that is. And once you get that, it's like, oh, shoot, I can do this.
Even going to what you said, once I got my dad, I had the conversation with my father.
That's powerful.
And it silenced some stuff and helped me understand me. Another pastor friend of mine, we was at the barbershop. I'm leaving the barbershop and talking, and I was explaining to him about something I was, contemplating with the ministry I was working in or something, and he said, the problem is people handle you like you sent for their church.
Right.
You're not sent for the church. You're sent for the body of Christ.
Yeah.
So you always thinking about everybody and not just and him saying that. I was like, Now it's starting to make sense.
It's making
Now
sense.
I understand. So it matters to me if the church down the road music ain't right, or the pastor late, or the deacons don't do the money. Because to me it affects all of us. I need you to get that. So even if I gotta leave where I'm at, okay, what you need me to do to help y'all? Because it's some people coming over here that ain't coming over where I'm at. So I need y'all to have y'all stuff together. Because I'm running into people who came to another church, and because it wasn't right or handled the right way, then they say, I forget all y'all. And we're losing people because people coming. I think my perception is when we come in to do what we do on Sundays, it's so important. I know we got work during the week, we got family, got other stuff going on, but it's so important because there are people who coming. You don't know who coming on Sunday morning. You don't know what their mindset is. You don't know. So I'm saying, even with the music, like you can't approach it. I shared with my musicians 1 week. I said, listen, I know we having struggles with some technical issues or whatever, but that can't keep us from getting this atmosphere. I said, whatever it takes. So if we got to shut that down, because we can't fix it now.
You think
we need to. I'm gonna need you to do what you do and do it as under God, like right now. Because we got to do our. So we cannot be a distraction today.
Certainly.
Even though we're getting distracted, we can't be the distraction. There may be a distraction in this service, but it won't come.
It shouldn't be
from over here.
If every leader. If every leader in the ministry, every musician would understand that.
I think because this is one of the things I say all the time. I said my feelings should never sacrifice the moment. How I feel about a thing, I should never let that make me sacrifice. Because the moment is more important than how I'm feeling. My mom says this. She said if she do something and she meant what she said or what she did, and you say, you hurt my feelings, my mom said, okay, it's all right, baby, you got some more. So I'm saying, okay, you got some more. Her thing is, what was said or done got to be said and got to be done. We got to move on. We don't have time to sit here and because we got. So to me in service, I learned at Ambassador. I didn't know that's what Bishop was teaching us. Because there are things he said in the heat of the worship experience he would never say if he was sitting in his office.
Certainly.
He would never say if he was sitting at a restaurant eating. He was a different kind of man. But in the service, I gotta say it this way. I gotta do because I don't have time to consider your feelings right now. Now, when this over with, we can sit and meet and talk about it and try to work it out. But in the moment, and so I grew up where the moment was more important than how you feel. It doesn't matter that you got a cold.
Certainly.
You see what I'm saying?
Certainly.
It doesn't matter that your back bothering you. It doesn't matter that you got a headache. You know what I'm saying? So there were times in the worship experience, there's some sacrifices my family made as it pertains to how we were living, or even health-wise. There were some things that I made sure that church, the experience took priority, and all of it wasn't necessarily in the church building.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think I'm in a season now where God is saying, okay, I'm gonna hook you up.
He's rewarding that.
I'm gonna hook you up. I got you.
I say it this way. I am passionate about the kingdom, but I'm not emotional.
I love that. Okay.
And a lot of people don't understand it. But I can't wear if I come in here to sing or speak or preach or whatever it is, if I'm emotional, then I'll look at people who have no response to my emotion, and I'll lose my passion. So I have to be passionate without being emotional.
So what's that? Wear your face like Flint?
I mean, you got to do what you got to do. You are assigned to do this. You got to give this word out. You may be sick, but nobody really cares about how you feel. You're frustrated, but who cares about you being frustrated?
And I
they
think
want that word. We need that flow. We do not care that you and your wife just got into an argument. What I need you to do is you can't mess up my service because you want to bang the chord because you're looking at us messing up the song.
One of the things God taught me through my daughter, man, a couple of things. One is he taught me through my daughter. Because she got to the age where she know how to ask for stuff, and so I was about 11 or 12, and it was like every time she comes like, Dad, I need, can I get, and one day I was like, man, why every time you talk to me, it seemed like you, and God stopped me and said, well, she gonna go. she doesn't have a relationship with me. So anytime she needs, she coming to you.
Gotta come to you.
You can't get frustrated with her.
Yeah.
Because in the moment when she needs, she coming to you. It don't matter what you and your wife dealing with. It don't matter
That's right.
how much money you got. Don't matter what happened at the job.
That's right.
Don't matter what happened in, at wherever you work. Like none of that matters to her. All she know is that's my daddy. He just got home. Hey, Dad, can I get?
That's right.
And she don't know that you have no more money now because you had to spend all paying these bills or had to get the car fixed and stuff going. So to her,
Don't care.
if I need anything, when God corrected me with the He was correcting me about how I handle my daughter. To me, it challenged me on how I handle ministry.
Certainly.
Because if you're leading people, when they show up at choir rehearsal, they don't care. I ain't getting no sleep last night.
Nope.
It's time for rehearsal. Do you have anything prepared?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Are you ready?
Are you? That's all they want to know. So through my daughter, man, I learned that, and I also learned that I'm gonna say this. I watched my daughter after she graduated from college, about a month ago. So I'm sitting at her graduation party, and I'm looking at her. And my mom is sitting in the room. I'm looking at her, and I told her, I said, Lacey, I'm challenged because I know the Bible, but it's a part of the Bible I'm confused about. Because I believe every word in the Bible.
Right.
But your life is challenging me with something. Because the Bible says you reap
What you saw.
what you sow.
Right.
And so when parents raise their child,
Yeah.
there are certain things that parents can't wait to say to you
Right.
when you had your own child.
Right.
Because as soon as your child does what you did to them, they look at you and say, you know what? You reaping.
You reaping
Because
what
you remember
you
you
sow.
did.
That's right.
And I looked at my daughter, I said, you just taught me that the grace of God or the mercy of God may have him selecting what part of what you sowed, you reap. Because there's stuff that I did, you ain't never get back to me.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, it's decisions I made.
Yeah.
You ain't never made.
Certainly.
And my mom was crying. I said, Lacey, you taught me that the grace of God is bigger than any mistake you could have. Because it's stuff I'm supposed, because I said there were certain things I told my wife, I know she gonna fight.
Right.
I'm telling you, because I was fighting all the time. And I know.
Never fought.
I know she gonna get suspended.
Right.
Because when I was in school, I kept getting suspended. My mom had to come down there and threaten me to keep me from getting suspended.
Right. No.
You know, and it's more than that. But I said, there's something about. So it's like the grace of God, and watching her helps me have more compassion as it pertains to how I handle other people.
Oh God.
So it's all helping me to be more. You know what? We good. Let's just pray about it, move on. Let's see what. And so before I was more demonstrous about my opinion.
Right.
But like watching my daughter and even, certain things in life help, though God was teaching me through practical, everyday.
Yeah.
It filtered over in the service.
Right.
Or how my character,
Certainly.
how I flow in worship, how serious I am about the worship experience. Just practical stuff in life. I've had conversations with people where they'll feel God in what I'm saying, and I ain't quoted a scripture.
Certainly.
I ain't quoted scripture like, no.
How important? And we're getting ready to close. But here's a final part of you, because I've dealt with the musician, the psalmist. So I'm in this P thing right now. So I've dealt with the psalmist in you. I've dealt with the preacher in you, but now let's deal with the parent and the husband and how is family? How important has that been? Like, you've been married for
22 years. 22 years.
So you've been married for 22 years, and how does that work? What's the advice out of 22 years? Because I know as you forestated, your daughter, and we can talk about what daughters have taught.
Yeah,
I can have a story
I'm sure.
of not wanting another child.
Right. Oh, wow. Okay.
But understanding, this is going to sound crazy as I say it, and then we'll get to you. I'm not sure I understood God's love without Mackenzie.
I see that. I got you.
I understood being a father with my son, Jordan, but there was something different of where I am, he's showing me that whole grace thing of how he loves unconditional, and I see it in a different way. So, but to get to this, you've been married for
2 years.
22 years to the same, what I call baby God.
Yep, baby God.
How's that been? What's the relationship like? What's the advice? How do you stick it?
I think for us, initially, because we got married to me fairly young. I was 22 and she was 20. I was 23 and she was 22. So we got married fairly young. One of the things that I understood going into marriage was that both of us were raised differently.
Certainly.
In good families, but raised differently. And one of the things I learned as we matriculated through the years was that there were certain things about her life. There are certain things that happened in her life that got her to a conclusion about how she approaches stuff. And there are things that happened in my life at that point that got me to my conclusion about how I handle stuff.
Certainly.
And so for me or her to tell the other, well, that don't matter.
Right.
Discounts everything that happened in my life. If you tell me the reason I do this, you tell me, well, the reason that don't make no sense, so it don't matter.
Right.
We don't do that to each other.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the other thing we do, we make sure, even if we're disagreeing, whatever we're disagreeing about, that's what we're talking about. You don't add all that other stuff. I heard somebody say that if you're having breakfast and we got grits, eggs, and bacon, you don't throw the breakfast away because the eggs are bad.
Right.
Let's talk about the eggs. We're gonna eat the grits.
Right.
We're gonna eat the bacon. I just don't like the eggs.
Right.
But to say throw the whole breakfast out, that's like saying because I don't like the way you I don't like the way you wash dishes, then we throw the whole marriage away.
Right.
No. I don't
Let's deal with this one piece.
Yeah, and
That's
then
good.
so it's a reason why you approach. There's a reason why because everybody's an individual.
Yeah.
You know,
You're coming from different directions and how you do what you do.
Something as simple as when I grew up, and my mom did hair at the house. At some point, not the whole time, but at some point she was doing hair at the house. So what her rule was, when you get home, I need you to wash the dishes, clean the kitchen. Not only wash the dishes, I need you to dry the dishes and put them away.
Right.
Because she's coming home to do hair.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
You can't have the hair.
So they had the little thing on the side where you put the dishes in.
Certainly.
The little rack.
Yeah.
We couldn't put them in the rack because she's doing hair.
Right.
So hair could get on the dish. So you had to dry them and put them away. So to me, I grew up every night you're supposed to wash dishes, dry them, put them away. So when I get married, my wife and mama didn't do hair at home.
Right. So she would wash them and let them hang.
They can hang, or we wash them later.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, to me, this is supposed to get washed every
night.
Every night.
This is how I was raised. Yeah.
And understanding that every parent that raised their child, raised them, okay, we do this particular thing, this particular way, and there's a reason why we do that for our house.
Certainly.
And you can't take the way you had to do it at your house and say, well, that's how it's going to be at my house. Because there's a reason why. I tell this story, and I'll stop. Whenever I go into a new setting with a music department, and obviously if I'm going in, they probably had a minister of music or somebody before me. And I always tell them the story about this ham. I says, this young lady, little girl asked her mom, Mama, why you cut the ham in half when you stick it in the oven? Mama said, I don't know, baby, that's what your grandma did. And so that's why I cut it in half and stick it in the oven. So she goes to grandma, I said, Grandma, I asked Mama, but she didn't have an answer, told me to ask you, why you cut the ham in half before you stick it in the oven? And grandma said, baby, I don't know, that's how your great grandma did it. So that's just why I did it. So the little girl goes to great grandma. I asked grandma and I asked mama, and none of them can answer my question. So why did you cut the ham in half before you stick it in? Why y'all do that? And the great grandma said, well, I don't know why your mama do it, and I don't know why your grandma do it. Now the reason I did it, because when I was growing up, we had a real small oven, and the only way to get the whole ham in the oven was to cut it in half.
Gotcha.
And so my philosophy is, don't tell me what we're doing without telling me why
we do it.
Give me why. If you can tell me why, I'm sticking. If you can't tell me why, you can't tell me we're doing it because that's what it's always been. You got to do better than that.
Yeah, you got to.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's my approach. Like, so with marriage, instead of us getting mad, okay, let's talk about why. So for me, the reason I'm used to washing dishes, drying them, and putting them away. Well, my mom had to do hair at home, and they need to be put away because people don't want nobody to come to your house and there's dishes in the sink. Why they get?
Right.
So that's why we had to do it that way. So it wasn't. So for our marriage, it's more about hearing each other out.
Good.
And when there's a disagreement, let's talk about what that is. We don't throw all the other.
Good.
So that's kind of helped us last. Without obviously keeping God in it, we two different people.
Yeah.
And keeping God in it, man. We don't. We pray together. We talk about stuff. Because we got married so young.
Yeah.
Our opinion about a lot of stuff is the same. Because our experience was we did it together.
That's true.
So there's stuff that you experienced at 30, 31. We did that together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now at 22 years of marriage, both of us 45.
Yeah.
Our opinion about a lot of stuff is
the same.
Without even talking, we look at each other and be like, oh yeah. Yeah. So that there's not this versus somebody who might get married older than us. They got more experiences they've been through. Yeah. So it's their opinion about stuff is embedded in them.
Certainly.
And for you to tell them that don't matter means everything you went through. Because what you're really saying is everything you went through
doesn't matter.
Means nothing. Yeah. And it does because it got them to this.
It got them to you.
Because you wanted them.
Whatever that
you either asked them to marry you or you
got them to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you can't discount that. That's a powerful way of looking at that. That's a powerful way of looking at that. Your daughter is undoubtedly. Did you want other children? Did you want more children?
I don't know. I never really thought about that.
Never thought about it.
I think at one point I wanted a son.
Gotcha. Okay.
I won't say. I think at one point I wanted a son. My wife's because my daughter was born 4 months before we got married.
Certainly.
And we literally watched my wife leave the earth 3 times, giving birth.
Yeah.
And so it was extremely. That's scary.
Yeah.
And
shake your world.
Yeah. And so that kind of was okay, we can. We say
Mackenzie came with a 1 pound, 12 ounces. I think something like 29 weeks, something like that, something crazy.
Okay.
But in the process, all of the vitals of Hope was crashing. So I didn't know if it was going to be a decision where they were going to have to make a choice. And so it was touch and go there. It was really it was more prayer than it was excitement because it was just so touch and go. I didn't know if she would come out, and I didn't know if she would be healthy when she came out because she came so early.
Even my conception, Mickey Goldsmith, who told my mom, I know that's somebody else's child, but I'm going to raise him like you're mine.
Yeah.
When my mother was giving birth to me, the doctors came to him and said, we can't save them both. So do you want the child or do you want your wife?
Wow.
He could have easily, because I wasn't biologically his.
Yeah.
He could have easily said, just save my wife, because I can have another. He says to the doctor, on whatever you got to do, save them both. And my mother told me that story.
Gotcha.
That's her understanding from the nurses.
From the nurses.
That he told them,
save them both.
Save them both. And he could have easily said, okay, well, no, just save my wife.
Yeah.
I have another. I can have a son. But I wasn't biologically his. But I think the God in him said, well, no, he got to be here. So do whatever you got to do to save him.
Excellent. I appreciate you.
I appreciate
this
you,
has
sir.
been such an enlightening moment, and we're going to wrap it up. But I always wrap up with just quick hits.
Okay.
Just quick hits. All right. So, favorite food?
Steak. Yes, Lord.
Medium well.
Medium well.
Medium well.
Yeah.
Favorite color?
Blue. And I never wear blue. I love blue. I love blue.
Do you have a favorite number?
I don't think I do.
Okay. Biggest regret?
That I did not stick with college.
Okay.
I do regret.
We didn't even get to that.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to experience, which is, I love the fact that my daughter's doing so well.
Good.
Because I didn't. I just got sidetracked.
Biggest accomplishment?
My daughter. My daughter.
If there is a possibility, give me top 5 singers, female,
Yeah.
all time.
All time?
All time.
Wow.
Do you have a top 5?
Okay. So I'm at ooh. So to me, that's gospel.
Gospel, R&B. I wanted to make it that broad.
So
If we want to do gospel, we can do just gospel. Let's do just gospel.
So to me, Aretha Franklin,
Okay.
Kim Burrell,
Okay.
man, Vanessa Bell Armstrong, man.
Give me 85, Vanessa.
Yeah, man,
Yes.
Vanessa, man.
85 Vanessa.
Yeah,
Vanessa is
man.
on my list. Give me 85.
To me, any of the Clark sisters.
Got you. Okay. The
Yeah,
influence.
yeah,
okay.
influence, yeah, definitely
I
any-
treat them as one.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I treat
Thank
them
you.
as
Yeah,
one.
yeah, any of the Clark sisters.
Yeah.
And
One more.
LaJune Thompson.
She's actually in my top 5. What she does is simply amazing to me. Vocal.
And what's amazing to me about her, I think she's better now.
I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. Top 5 Rushmore basketball. Who you got?
Top 5?
Top 5. Who's your starting 5 on basketball?
Oh, so I got it. Point guard. Okay, so
Just however you want to do it.
okay, Michael Jordan is certainly
Yeah.
Michael
Mike.
Jordan, Kareem.
Kareem.
He's the top scorer. Like,
Okay.
I mean,
You can't do it
his
without
career even beyond the NBA, man. Like you talking about college, he didn't lose in college.
Yes.
Like man, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Kareem, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, man.
Okay.
I
It's your list.
I think LeBron James, Magic Johnson.
You got one more.
Yeah.
You got to put one more on
Magic
the team.
Johnson. The only reason I can't say Kobe Bryant is because he patterned his
Kobe
him
is
after Michael
Mike.
Jordan.
Okay.
So that's the only reason Kobe is not on my list.
Okay. Kobe is Mike.
Man. I'll go Steph Curry.
Wow, now that's surprising.
Yeah, to me, because he stretched the game. Like
he's doing
he
something.
opens the flow. His ability to shoot so far from the rack opens the flow for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if people see it that way. Like the fact that he can come across half court and he can hurt your feelings.
Yeah, he's changing the game.
Oh yeah.
He's changing the game. Favorite college basketball is
UNC, Tar Heels.
Carolina.
Yes, sir.
So here was here was the big one. So will you now? Do you aspire to win awards? Stellas, Grammys, things like that.
You know,
Is that important to you? Or do you care?
I can't say I don't care.
Okay.
And I won't say I can't say it's important. I would appreciate the opportunity, but I don't think it's important anymore.
Okay.
I don't know if it's ever been important, but I certainly would appreciate the opportunity to be even nominated. I think because it's so the market is so flooded, man. And you can be independent and still
do great.
Get nominated, and you know what I'm saying. It ain't so. It'll take a lot to get to get recognized because it's people who because like Tamala Mann is independent.
Certainly.
You don't see it like that, but she's really independent. So it's hard. It's
possible.
Yeah, but I think it's possible. But I think it's harder. It's hard, but I think it's possible.
All right. This is your final question.
Uh-oh.
Who wins the championship first? Los Angeles with LeBron or the Dallas Cowboys with Zeke?
Oh God! You know what? That's easy. The Dallas Cowboys with Zeke. I have no idea what's going on with the Lakers front office. I don't know what they about to do. Dallas got the team. They got the team set up. We know who playing. I think this our year to get to a Super Bowl.
Y'all say that
No, you never heard me say. You never. I think this is our year. Yeah, I think this is our year. And if we miss the window between this year and next year, I think we're in trouble. because like New Orleans Saints, I think that hurt them how their season ended. So it's hard to recover.
It's hard to recover.
I think the Rams had their chance.
Yes.
Because they got there.
Yeah.
You know.
So you say Cowboys, this is it. This is
I'm not saying we win it all.
But
I think my prediction, AFC, Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, I can see
NFC, Dallas Cowboys, and Super Bowl.
Let's see what's that. All right. That's his prediction.
That's what it is.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Like, this is part 2. We've had such a tremendous time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me from behind the veil. My special guest, Mischeal Goldsmith. He is a musician, a producer. He's a psalmist. He's a preacher. He's a parent. He's a father. He's a husband. He's a good dude, good friend. And I hope you've gotten some good nuggets out of this whole lesson. This has been an absolute joy to do it. I appreciate you for coming on Behind the Veil. He does. Tell some people how they can get in contact with you, social media.
Social media, yeah. I'm Mischeal Goldsmith, Mischeal Goldsmith on
all of it.
Yeah, and Mischeal G on Instagram. Same thing on Twitter.
He has music out. Look him up on iTunes. He just does some wonderful.
The Greater Words Project.
Greater Words Project. Just absolutely fabulous. All around guy. And so thank you so much for joining me. Look, take a moment and subscribe down below and share this with a neighbor and a friend. I'm sure there are some wonderful nuggets in here. Thank you for hanging out with us as we've gone behind the veil. I'll see you next week.